It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story. Donald Trump heads to Michigan to celebrate 100 days back in the White House, and he's pleased with how it's going so far.
The border is in great shape. 99.9% came out again today. 99.9. That, I would say, that was my number one thing. The economy would be certainly right up there, and I think it's doing great.
Donald Trump is due to address his rally in Michigan in about an hour's time. We'll bring you that live. Trump's threats to Canada helps to deliver a stunning turn of fortune for Mark Carney's Liberal Party as they win the federal election. A man arrested over a Crossbow attack in Leeds that left 2 women injured dies in hospital from a self-inflicted injury. An act of mindless vandalism. A court hears 2 men filmed themselves as they went on a moronic mission to fell the famous Sycamore Gap tree. After blackout, the power returns to Spain and Portugal, but people are still in the dark as to why it happened. Locals and tourists greet the Prince and Princess of Wales as they celebrate their 14th wedding anniversary on the Isle of Mull. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. Within the next hour, the US president is due to hold a rally in Michigan as he marks an extraordinary 100 days in office. To Keir Starmer and other world leaders have repeatedly said the world has changed over the past months, and that's since Donald Trump returned to the White House. He's upended global markets by imposing hefty tariffs, challenged the judiciary with mass deportations, threatened to take over Greenland, the Panama Canal and Canada, as well as trying to push through peace deals in Ukraine and the Middle East, offering to take over Gaza. New research suggests confidence in the economy has fallen as fears of a recession grow. But as he left the White House tonight, President Trump was upbeat about his achievements over the past 100 days.
Either we've done everything or it's in the process of being done. For instance, the border is in great shape. 99.9% came out again today. 99.9. That, I would say, that was my number one thing. The economy would be certainly right up there, and I think it's doing great. We were losing billions and billions of dollars a day with trade, and now I have that down to a very low level, and soon we're going to be making a lot of money. We're going to be reducing people's taxes, and we're going to get the big, look, a very important element, maybe more important than anything with the border in good shape, is the fact, is the fact that we want to get, and very importantly, the big, beautiful new deal. If we get that done, that's the biggest thing, what's happening in Congress right now. And I think we're going to get it done. We have great Republican support. If the Democrats blocked it, you'd have a 60% tax increase. I don't think that's going to happen. We have great support from Republicans. So the big, beautiful deal, that's what we want.
Well, let's speak to our US correspondent Mark Stone, who's in Warren in Michigan for the Trump rally. In the past half hour, he's been addressing the Michigan National Guard, and it's been a day of positivity and celebration for the president, at least, Mark.
Yes, his own scorecard for a 100 days that has, without question, been a whirlwind, one where he and his team think he has got so much done. It's just gone 5 p.m. here in Macomb County, Michigan, one of the counties in one of the states which he believes propelled him over the line back in November. And as you can see behind me, the podium is set. The presidential crest is on that podium here in the community center, and the faithful are gathered for a 100-day rally to reflect all that he has done. And there has been so much. I have to say, I was curious to find out what the setting would be, whether this would be a big stadium. It's not. It's small. It's intimate. I think the White House will probably describe it as grassroots, the blue-collar workers that were so critical in delivering Donald Trump the presidency once again back in November. Every day, Gillian, over the course of the past 100 days, news has come in thick and fast, news that he has made, and today was no exception, with an extraordinary reveal this morning by Amazon that they were going to publish the amount that people would be charged in tariffs on their website. So when you go on to Amazon, you would see the cost of the item and then how much more it costs as a consequence of Donald Trump's tariffs. Well, as a very clear example of just how he seems to have control of everything at the moment in terms of people not wanting to upset him, there was a phone call between Donald Trump and Jeff Bezos, the head of Amazon, at lunchtime today, and miraculously that tariff publication plan on Amazon's website, it disappeared. Something was said, Bezos relented. Have a listen to what Trump said about it.
Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly. And he did the right thing, and he's a good guy.
Now, we've been kind of reflecting on our podcast and elsewhere about just how much has happened over the past 100 days. To call him a consequential president would be an understatement. It's hard to know where to start, but we gave it a go.
It has been just 100 days.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
A presidency like no other. Norms upended.
The chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Allies shocked.
Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state. We need Greenland for national security.
And shafted.
You're gambling with World War III.
Moments no one predicted.
Trump Gaza, #1.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip. We'll own it.
And the tariffs.
I'd like to see the chart if you have it.
Everyone predicted them, but it didn't soften the blow.
China, first row.
Until he U-turned.
They were getting yippy, you know?
Migrants removed, with court-defying deportations. In every way, for the delighted and the disgusted, this has been a truly consequential 3 months. And he will mark it here later today, a rally on the edge of Detroit, the Motor City in Michigan, the battleground state which helped to propel him back to the White House. To fix America, Donald Trump first needed to convince people that it's broken, and many did not need convincing. Look for decline here, and you will find it easily. Communities left behind. Look for bureaucracy and waste, you will find that too. Common sense silenced by wokeism. Many can relate to that. Immigration out of control. Well, politicians have been struggling with that for decades. And in just 100 days, Donald Trump has harnessed all of that into a package of change that feels like nothing short of a revolution. At a park on the banks of the Detroit River, the scorecards reflect the enduring divide.
Give him a 10.
I would say 10 too. I mean, he's human, he's doing his best.
Oh, 0. If I could do lower than 0, lower.
We're all so angry because we're under angry leadership, and that's not good.
The polling 100 days in tells the bigger picture, because with a 40% approval rating, it's lower than any president in over 70 years. And yet the Democrats are doing no better either. Down the road from the president's rally, hopes and fears at the Detroiter bar.
He's helping the middle class of the country.
Sounds like he's convinced you.
Yeah. He convinced me the first time.
I'm a cook, and I got 2 kids to provide for. But this right now, it's bad. It's real bad.
You sound really worried.
I am. I'm a citizen. I was born in America, so yeah, I am really worried.
Of one fact, there is no debate. After just 100 days, he is proving to be a leader of profound global consequence.
And you know, Gillian, we were outside a few moments ago before we came in here, talking to some protesters on a street corner. They had gathered, maybe 40, 50 of them had gathered. And The sense I got, which I haven't really experienced before here in America, is not divide. There's always a divide politically in America, but actually a genuine sense of fear among those who do not agree with Donald Trump, who believe that profoundly that he's taking this country not just in the wrong direction, but in a dangerous direction. And most of the people there, maybe not most, but a lot of them had their faces covered and would not give us their names. And they said that was because they feared retribution, not from other people necessarily, but potentially from the state as a consequence of what they were wanting to tell us. That's new, that's remarkable, and that is reflective of America today. Donald Trump will be here, as I say, in around about an hour's time. There are quite a lot of empty seats, actually, still in this small area, which is surprising. Maybe they will fill up. He certainly will hope they will. But we will bring you that speech when it happens in around about 1 hour's time.
OK, Mark, thank you very much for the moment. We will be back to you later on for that rally as it starts. And coming up a little later on News at 10, our Asia correspondent, Cordelia Lynch, reports from Vietnam, one of the countries high on Donald Trump's tariff hit list.
Today, about 30% of Vietnam's exports go to the United States. Last year, it accounted for about 30% of its gross domestic product. But Vietnam imports very little from America, creating the kind of trade deficit Trump really doesn't like. Ultimately, if he decides to impose anything like 46% tariffs here, it could be very damaging to the economy.
Well, north of the border in Canada, Mark Carney used his victory speech as Prime Minister to claim Donald Trump wanted to break the country as he led the Liberal Party to a fourth term in office. It was a stunning comeback for a party which looked set for a crushing defeat until the US president hit Canada with tariffs and talked of it becoming the 51st state of America. Well, the Canadian Parliament has 323 seats, with 172 needed for a majority. With the result now fully declared, Mark Carney's Liberal Party has 168, 4 short of a majority. The Conservatives sit on 144, with their leader, Pierre Poilievre, losing his seat after nearly 2 decades. The centre-left bloc Québécois has 23 seats, with the New Democrats and the Greens holding 7 and 1 seat respectively. The result means Mr Carney is likely to form a minority government, as James Matthews reports from Ottawa.
He styled himself the man to take on Trump. Canadians took him at his word. Mark Carney, the duly elected Prime Minister of Canada, addressed a victory rally overnight.
My message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between 2 sovereign nations.
Canada's next government will be a Liberal government.
Carney has led an astonishing political comeback. His Liberal Party was dead and buried as an electoral force last January. What turned Canadians was the election before theirs, and the US president who imposed tariffs and threatened to annex Canada as the 51st state. In the UK, Mark Carney is the familiar face, with crisis management on his CV. He was the Bank of England governor through Brexit, having led the Bank of Canada through the 2008 crash. Across Canada, a central issue was who was best placed to deal with Donald Trump. Polls reflected a public trust in the finance man shaping for a fight.
That contest is not decided between Carney and Trump, it's decided internally in America. But if Canada can be strong and put up resistance, then I think, you know, governors and the Senate and even the House and the markets will all have a say in it.
He is the political rookie who's led the biggest comeback in modern democracy. Carney's Liberals, once written off, have written history. He styled himself as the man best placed to tackle the nemesis next door. It's the biggest job in his entry.
When I went to vote with my two kids who are 10 and 8, they were wondering how am I choosing their future with Trump in mind.
We're really shaping up to be able to govern strongly and negotiate with a strong position against Trump for the next 4 years.
Respect is what he's going to get from a lot of other countries as well as our own people.
At the end of the night, the new Prime Minister was throwing shapes. A dad on the dance floor, re-elected father of the nation. On party night, style didn't necessarily matter. Back in the political arena, his signature moves will matter more. James Matthews, Sky News, in Ottawa.
The Conservative leader has told Sky News that she will not let the Tories be out of power for decades, but warned there is a long road ahead. Kemi Badenoch has been speaking to our political editor, Beth Rigby, in the latest of our reports on the fortunes of the parties in the run-up to polling day.
Hi, George. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. A new leader trying to rebuild after her party's worst ever general election defeat.
Where does it start and stop? I can't quite work it out.
Kemi Badenoch out campaigning in the southwest, but it's not looking up. All bets off about whether the Tories have further to fall in this week's local elections.
We're here in Wiltshire with Kemi Badenoch. She's on a campaign trip. Now, this is safe Tory territory, but the Conservatives are facing a drubbing in these local elections across England, squeezed by Reform on the right and the Lib Dems to the left.
Kemi, nice to see you. Nice to see you.
We are seeing a changing situation where you are being challenged both by Reform to the right. You're also being challenged by the Liberal Democrats. You've been asked about Reform a lot, but the Lib Dems are coming for you, aren't they?
Well, this is the same situation we were in about 10 years ago. 2014 local elections, UKIP did very well. We had Lib Dems and Labour. They've always been competitors. This is a very competitive political environment.
Body blow, though, wouldn't it?
But there's no. It's like a sailor complaining about the sea. We're in very choppy waters. It's a difficult time. There's no point me focusing on what other parties are doing. I have to focus on what I can do with my party. And we are in a process of renewal. We are rebuilding. We've just left government, a historic defeat. You don't just come back from that overnight. The last oppositions were 14 years, 13 years, 18 years. I've been the leader for 6 months. There's a long road ahead. I'm not going to let it be decades. I want to do this in 4 years, but that's a really tough job.
Badenoch believes she can revive the Conservative brand, but questions remain over whether she has the policies and personality to succeed.
Let's talk about what you're offering, just on immigration quickly. Nigel Farage with a clear announcement last week, a deportations minister. He wants to deport all illegal migrants. You've talked about deporting foreign criminals. What's your view on deporting all illegal migrants? Would you look at that as a policy? Do you think that's a smart thing to do, or
Well, I heard the announcement that he made last week. We already have a deportations minister. That's the Home Secretary. This is the sort of thing that I describe as an announcement without a plan.
You're going to get smashed up in these elections. You know that. It's going to be a really rough ride for you on Friday. What's your message to colleagues? What's your message to them?
So what we want to see on Thursday is as many Conservative councillors winning as possible. That is all I'm talking about at the moment. I know it's going to be challenging, but people will have to live with what is elected after that. And that's something that Conservatives are going to have to think about. How do we make sure that we show that we are the best party on offer? And that's something that all of my colleagues agree with me on.
So what's your message? Hold your nerves? Hold your nerve?
Go out there and fight for every single vote.
Senior Tories bracing for big losses as Badenoch struggles to pull her party together and bring the public back. For now, she can blame the Conservatives' misfortunes on the past. She won't have that luxury the next time around. Beth Rigby, Sky News, Wiltshire.
The man arrested at the scene of the Crossbow attack in Leeds has died in hospital from self-inflicted injuries. 2 women were injured in the attack on Saturday, one of them requiring surgery. Police believe 38-year-old Owen Lawrence was acting alone and are investigating Facebook posts linked to him. They include images of weapons and an apparent plan to kill people taking part in a local pub crawl. Our chief North of England correspondent, Greg Milam, reports.
Hello, everyone. So I've just finished George Orwell's Fascism and Democracy, written in 1941, published in 1945. It didn't take me too long to read it.
This is Owen Lawrence, the man police suspect of carrying out a crossbow attack on a university pub crawl and who himself ended up dead. Social media posts apparently linked to the 38-year-old feature images of weapons including a crossbow and rifles. There was also a rambling post laying out what he called an attack plan to kill people taking part in the Otley Run on Saturday. It was at that event that 2 women were injured. Police found a crossbow and a firearm, and Lawrence with a self-inflicted injury. A person was filmed apparently holding weapons in the area just before the attack. In his post, Lawrence referred to a spree killing, mass murder and terrorism motivated by revenge and misogynistic rage, among other things. In a statement, the head of counter-terrorism policing North East, Detective Chief Superintendent James Dunkerley, said, "We understand there are concerns around the incident and questions about how and why this has happened. Our teams are committed to carrying out an in-depth investigation to provide answers to those affected." One of the women who was injured has been released from hospital. The other is said to be in a stable condition. Police have asked anyone with information to contact them. What happened here on Saturday has once again put the focus on the apparent ease with which someone can get their hands on a crossbow. As with high-profile incidents in the past, it's led to questions about whether the law needs to be tightened for a weapon that it is perfectly legal to own and which can be bought with a few clicks online.
Right, so just a quick check-in, everyone. I'm just sat home by myself on my Todd.
In his posts on social media, Lawrence says he's explored far-right ideas and conspiracy theories. Those posts are now a focus of the investigation. Police say they believe Lawrence was acting alone and that they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the attack. Greg Milam, Sky News, Leeds.
A jury has been told 2 men cut down the famous Sycamore Gap tree next to Hadrian's Wall in a mindless act of vandalism, which they filmed on a mobile phone. Prosecutors told Newcastle Crown Court Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers used a chainsaw and chopped the tree down in under 3 minutes. The men have pleaded not guilty to 2 counts each of criminal damage. Returning to Donald Trump's first 100 days in office now, and Vietnam was set to be one of the hardest hit countries when the president made his so-called Liberation Day tariffs announcement with a 46% levy on goods exported to the US. As our Asia correspondent Cordelia Lynch reports from Ho Chi Minh City, the pressure couldn't be higher.
On the Saigon River, you can see and feel Vietnam's miracle growth story. But it's one of the most trade-dependent countries in the world.
Today, about 30% of Vietnam's exports go to the United States. Last year, it accounted for about 30% of its gross domestic product. But Vietnam imports very little from America, creating the kind of trade deficit Trump really doesn't like. Ultimately, if he decides to impose anything like 46% tariffs here, it could be very damaging to the economy.
The government moved fast to try and cut a deal, offering 0% tariffs on US goods. But that was seen as pretty cosmetic. America wants Vietnam to show some muscle.
If you're Vietnam going into these trade talks with America, what would you be offering?
To buy American products. If Vietnam goes into trade talks saying that we will be a reliable manufacturer of the core products that you need and a reliable buyer of the core products that America wants to sell, I think the outcome could be good.
And do you think they'll achieve that balance?
I hope so. The question is, how much does China also have the ear of the Vietnamese negotiators?
Cutting Big Brother loose isn't an option. China has a massive footprint here. But Donald Trump wants a major gear change. He claims China's using its neighbour to sell products illegally, shipping them stateside with Made in Vietnam labels. That claim is hard to assess. But down by the river, they question the logic and likelihood of America stepping in to do what they've spent years finessing.
The
United States GDP is so high. It's the largest in the world right now. What's the point of trying to get the jobs from developing countries like Vietnam and other Asian nations? It's unnecessary. It makes America look weaker to me than it used to be.
The US relies on Vietnam for clothing, but on the factory floors of Ho Chi Minh City, the whole fabric of their industry could change.
One of the things this factory produces is cheerleading outfits for export to America. Now, even though the tariffs are currently on pause, they're already feeling the effects here. They're working overtime, trying to press through with orders before the deadline.
Thankfully, this factory started diversifying years ago, expanding exports to Russia and the Middle East.
In 2021, we have more than 40% of export revenue to US. But we see that very dangerous if we depend on one or two markets. So we have to lose our profit. We have to spend more money for marketing to find another market.
That will probably protect them. Others are far more exposed. It's a nation caught between two warring sides, flashing the emergency lights. A warning, a test, but an opportunity too. Cordelia Lynch, Sky News, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
And just to remind you that President Trump is due to address a rally from around 11 o'clock, and we'll bring you that live from Michigan. The Prince and Princess of Wales have met locals on the Isle of Mull, where their Royal Foundation is providing financial support for community projects. William and Kate are spending their 14th wedding anniversary on the Scottish island, from where our royal correspondent Laura Bundock reports.
They'd visited Mull as students. Now a trip back to picture postcard Tobermory. Since Kate's cancer diagnosis, we've rarely seen them out together. This, their first joint overnight visit in 2 years. It feels like a return to the old routine. A milestone in Kate's recovery, and a milestone too for the couple arriving on their 14th wedding anniversary. Donna's a resident and remembers their undergrad getaway.
I think it was a very special time for them because it was way before they got engaged, married and everything, and it's got very fond memories for them.
It's all about the nature and communities here in the Hebrides.
£5, please.
Among them, this family fish smoking business, Slice by Slice, now running for 50 years.
What we've been trying to achieve is we've been recognised for it, and it was really nice. I'm going to get emotional now, but yeah, we're really excited and really honoured to have them up. We're all a small business and we're just trying to kind of live a slow and happy life.
The couple keen to champion and sample rural island life. For Kate in particular, this is a showcase of things close to her. She's recently spoken about the power of nature, the spiritual inner peace she's found reconnecting with the natural world. So coming here is both poignant and personal. Mixing and mingling with the Mull crowds, in the melee and with extra resonance, Kate met cancer patient Jim Thornton.
My opening words in the conversation from one cancer survivor to another, well done. And there's one subject she raised, and that's, when you've been given a "you're cured" message from the doctor, although you are going through further checkups in the future, you almost feel alone. And she totally understood that.
In a world of uncertainty, these remote islands, a snapshot of serenity. Laura Bundock, Sky News, on the Isle of Mull.
Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's newspapers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the broadcaster and commentator Ali Miraj and the journalist and broadcaster Sonia Soda. Amongst the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of The Guardian. Its headline, Trump makes trade deal with UK second-order priority, officials say. Do stay with us for more. We'll be right back.